So semiotics it's a very interesting concept as well. This is one of the concept where I prefer to use the board, which I don't usually. So, but anyhow, it's not available. Let's see how we can do it. Um, semiotics is one. If you can go there, it would be better. Yeah, so I can at least communicate that. Yeah. So, semiotics, it's a study of signs. Okay. So, what are signs? Right? Science is not SCIENCE. Semiotics is the study of SIGNS, signs, right? Symbols. Um, so, it is science comprises of many things. So, for example, you go in a traffic and there is this sign. Okay. So this particular sign, I'm not sure if you. So it's an arrow. So you suddenly know what to do. Okay? So that is an instruction for you that you can take a free left. That is, you need not wait for a signal. You can directly take a free left. Right. So when a person sees this sign, he immediately understands, what he has to do. Right. Everyone, almost everyone in the traffic knows that. By the moment they see the sign, they know and they follow. Right. However, a person has not, even if a person is not educated, even if a person has not completed, has not gone to school, he is illiterate. Even if he see this sign, he will be able to follow the instructions, right? But how do people know that this sign means to take left? How do they know it? How do they know it? How do they know to do that? Any explanation? Anything which you know? Or can you guess why that, how do people know that, it is to take left? Why don't they think that, this sign means jump into the well, or this sign means, fly to the moon, or take right for that matter? Why do they take left? What makes them to understand the moment they see taking left? What is the construct behind it? Anyone? Why does it happen? How does people know that? Okay. Mm, what other examples? Okay. Um, what is this? Okay, it's an arm. But if I do this, what do you assume it as? Stop. How do you know it is stop? Okay. You've seen it from a very young age, where whenever people show this, they stop. Or other way, another thing, the moment you see this, you remember a political party. It's a possible. So, because you have already associated a particular sign, this is a sign, right? So you assign this sign or this symbol to something. Best example is you assume this is a stop symbol. So suddenly, if I show, if a policeman standing in the road show this sign, suddenly the driver has to stop the vehicle. So um, the interesting thing is this particular sign. You said that it is stop, right? How can it be stop as well as a political party, Indian National Congress? How can it be both? And how do you know in which context what is the meaning? Okay. Okay. Here, am I audible? Because I'm not able to hear anyone. Am I audible? Risha, Rupa, Vibha, Yashaswini, and Digal. Only five of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Audible.
Yes, sir.
So, I prefer if you speak more because, this is something which you have to understand. You have to think and understand. Yeah, I can't make you understand. Right? So, when I say that, I can just try to um, instigate a thought. That's all. I can't make you understand. You have to think. So, how can this particular sign have two meanings? Okay? How can a particular sign have two meanings? Hmm? Anyone? Okay. Another example. What is this particular sign? The shade it is. Okay. Assume this is a red plus sign. Right? Assume this. What is this sign? Okay.
An
Yeah.
additional symbol.
And it is red in color.
Hospital.
Okay, it is hospital. Why do you think so? It is hospital, Vibha? How do you know it is hospital?
So it's something generally known. Everyone knows.
Okay, something which is
And
general.
we have been taught since we were kids.
Were you taught or did you observe?
Both.
Yeah,
We
sometimes.
observed and we asked and people told what it is.
Okay. Sometimes it is not. Sometimes it is observed. Okay. Both of them possible. But my intention was to show you Indian Red Cross. You said hospital. Why can't it be Red Cross? You know Red Cross, right?
Yes, sir.
Sir. But this is popularly known, sir.
This is popularly known. See, what you're trying to say is that I'm just paraphrasing what you have already said. Any sign, whether this is this, or this, any sign do not have a particular meaning with it. It by innately it do not have any meaning. Okay, we assume meaning to it. As a observer, it is assumed, right? But as a whole, as a society, we uh, assign. Yeah. So, for example, hospital. Somebody thought it is hospital should be marked with a red plus sign. Somebody thought that. Right. So he assigned a sign for it, but people accepted it, and from that day, whenever see a red sign, we assume it is hospital. The meaning is assumed. First, it is assigned, of course, but as a general public, we assume meaning for things which we see, right? The same way, the, the same way, the signs do not have any meaning. The letters do not have any meaning too. Right? Let me say that. Apple. The moment I say apple, what comes to your mind? A fruit which is red in color. That is the first thing which comes in your mind, or at least most people. Right? A fruit red in color. The moment I say apple, A-P-P-L-E, so that is what you assume. Why don't you assume green apple? Why don't you remember a green apple? Only if you make effort, you can. It's not that you can't, remember, or you can't think of green apple. But the first thing which comes to your mind is red apple. Yes. Uh, uh, I mean, apple, when I said, green apple is not green apple fruit, but apple which is green in color. So even that is apple. Right? But the thing is, we have seen, the APPLE apple is all usually associated with apple which is red in color. Right? So, but it is somebody who said that this should be called as apple. So that is why everybody has followed it. Right? So the letters APPLE do not mean anything in any language, any of the signs. These are signs. Alphabets or all alphabets are visible signs. The sound is another. Sound is also a sign. Okay. Apple. Okay. So two syllables. So in this two syllables, right? None of the syllables mean anything. But since the childhood, A for apple, and you see a picture of apple there. From then, we have been fed that the moment we say a and pull, two two signs, sound signs, two sounds just. We remember apple. Okay? K, a, t, three sounds. Okay? So with that three sounds, every single one of us will remember a cat with a pointy ears, mustache, and a tail, right? Just like this one. Right? But this, that also, when you see this picture, right, you associate it with a cat you already know, you have already seen. You don't associate with a Cheshire cat, for example. You associate with a cat which is nearby you, which you have already seen, which you have already experienced. Right? So only if you have read about Cheshire Cat and have seen a lot of things regarding that, or at least Alice in Wonderland, you think of Cheshire Cat. Okay, cat is Cheshire Cat. It's very, very, very large grin. Right? So all this indicates that the sounds or the signs, the letters, does not mean anything. All the meanings around us are assumed. For example, let us say this is bottle. I start calling this cat. Right? I start calling this as cat from today on. Okay? For this, I start calling hat. Okay. Will you accept it? So when I say hat, what do you remember? When I say cat, what do you remember? Now itself, most of your cat you must have seen here. You must have seen to this picture. Just a minute back, I said this is cat. This is hat. You're not able to, you know, it is very difficult to imagine. It is very difficult to accept. Isn't that right? But let us say I'm a university professor. I become a chancellor. I teach every one of my students that this is hat. Over a 200 years, probably, over a 200 years, we would think people will start calling this thing a cat. So I call this cat, and I teach my students cat. They teach their students cat. Over a period of 200 years, every single individual call this as cat, and they will call this hat. Right? So in a language, what happens is the association of the meanings to one particular word is that somebody starts it, that is replicated by others, and over a period of time, without at first, you have to learn it. You have to uh, make a constant effort to learn that this is cat and this is hat. But over a period of time, the language develops in a such a way that you know without thinking, the image comes to your mind. So just the way if I say cat, the image of the whisker, image of tail comes to your mind. They would think cat as a this item as a cat. So what does it have to do? So there are many instances of this. A particular word was associated with something, but later it was got associated with something else. For example, what is the meaning of classic? Can anyone give a rough meaning of classics? What is classics?
Something that has its own value and cannot be replicated. It has no reputation.
Okay, a something which has a reputation and a value. So that is classic. Okay, one meaning. Hmm. Others, quick, 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 quick. You have to talk. What is a classic? Okay, can you give examples of some of the classics? Whatever it is, classic. Okay, Friends television show is a classic. Okay, Harry Potter is a classic. Okay, okay, Romeo and Juliet is a classic. I see the change of meaning just here. Right? So when we were students, the idea of classics was this. So if I say classics, something of this kind, a very thick book, something of a very large volume, something which is old, right? Something which is read by aristocrats or or intelligentsia. Right? So that is considered to be classic. Now, Friends or Harry Potter is considered to be classic. Right? There is nothing wrong with it, but you have to understand the meaning has changed over a period of time. Okay, okay. What is the difference?
First, it used to be people who live
Yeah.
in
Hmm.
are like most of the time on streets or out.
Hmm.
That was before the established. So now it means something that is cool.
Okay, okay. Huh. There is a long discourse behind it actually. Yeah. So, sir, the word savage earlier, it we call uncivilized as savage, right? But now savage is something cool, right? Something like if you wear a ripped jeans, that is savage. Right? So the meaning has changed in the last few years. So coming back to the classics, the original meaning is the study of Greek and Roman was considered to be classics. So that is the original meaning of classic. From there, it went to anything which is non-romantic, that is classic. From there, something which is valuable, that is classic. Today, something is which is enjoyable even after the multiple readings, that is called as classic. Okay? So the meaning has changed over a period of time. Right? There is possibility that uh, the meaning might get reversed, meaning might get opposite. So savage is very good example. Earlier, savage is something which is not desirable. Savage is something which is very uncool. It is um, very uncivilized. But now savage is something very cool. The meaning has reversed. So same way in word there are two words, runda and munda. Right? What is runda and what is munda? Hmm? Okay, skull. Which is the skull? You know the head portion and the trunk and the body portion. Right? Rest of it. So which is head and which is body? Right? I want you to answer. I'll wait until you answer. Hmm? There are two words, runda and munda. Okay? Which is head and which is body?
Sir, Runda is head portion.
Okay.
Munda is body portion.
Runda is head, munda is body. Right? What do you wear for head? Do you call it rundasu or mundasu? Rupa? The thing which you wear for head, a cloth.
Mundasu.
Why is it called mundasu? If this is runda and this is munda, then why it is called as mundasu, not rundasu? Hmm? In the old usage, this is munda, this is runda. Now it has changed. Now we call this as runda. This is munda. The meaning has completely changed. In fact, opposite. Same way, uh, is there anyone who knows Tulu here? Or at least, if you have, yeah, is there anyone who knows Tulu here? Hmm? Meghana is not here. Okay. In Halegannada, in Tulu, this is in practice. In Halegannada, what is Amme? Any idea?
Father.
Ah, in Halegannada, actually, Amme is father. Hmm? But today, Amme or Amma is mother. Appe is actually mother in Halegannada. The meaning has completely reversed. Same way, so far, are you able to follow? Right? Are you able to follow so far? How?
Yes.
This sound is a sign. Runda, the word, is a sign. Appe is a sign. This particular image is a sign. Cat is a sign. Every single one of them is a sign. Whether it is a sign, take it as, take it in a larger meaning, not just as a picture. Right? So even sound is a sign. You have to consider that. Okay. Every single one, every single sign has no meaning. The meaning assigned to it has changed. The meaning we associate has changed. The same way our cultural practices. So far, are you able to? So far, you understood. We spoke about language. Same way it is with the cultural practice. Right? Take for example yajna. Right? The yajna, the purpose of the yajna, which was about, probably 1,000 years ago, is entirely different than the purpose of the yajna today. It's not the same. Only in the proper religions it is the same. Proper religions, even there are changes, but otherwise, comparatively, they have maintained a continuity. That is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Other than that, every single culture in the world, it is dynamic. Dynamic is, it is something to change. Right? So the celebration of Deepavali, which was done 100 years ago, And the celebration of Deepavali today has changed. Right? Yes, 100 years ago, if I say Deepavali, just like when I say cat, the first thing you remember is the tail and the whiskers and the pointy ears, probably about the glossy eyes. These are the four things you remember when I say cat. When I say Deepavali, the first thing you remember today probably is probably new clothes, probably sweets, crackers, and lamps. Right? So these are the four things you remember. But if I say Deepavali to a person who lived about 100 years ago, somehow I tried time travel and asked him, he might come up with different. He might say Lakshmi, he might say cows, and probably cow dung, something like this. The same word, but the meaning of the word has changed without our knowledge. So this is how the science functions. This is how uh, you know languages function. So let me give you a little spoiler here. The next essay which we have, is there an Indian way of thinking? Right? We'll go in detail about it. Now you can just try to understand just about this. You can contemplate just about this question. What it what is the meaning of thinking? What is the meaning of Indian? Okay? You can contemplate on Indian culture, something which is very dynamic. So the meaning has changed a lot among the signs, among the symbols, among the language and the culture. So this is the foundation of semiotics and the structuralism. Okay. Uh, Regarding the text, I'll start from Monday. So regarding what has been dealt today, if you have any questions, you can ask. Yeah. So what she said is, literature is a lie. What we interpret today is different than what is the original meaning of the text. Not just of the old text, even today. Right? If I write something now, right, so the way individuals understand it would be entirely different than way I intended it to be. So the best example is, you have a cherry orchard. You have a play called Cherry Orchard. Okay. So this particular play, in plays there are multiple kinds, and two of the kinds are tragedies and comedies. So author intended it to be a comedy, but if you ask me, it is a tragedy. The same text, not a single word has changed. Okay. Forget about me. The director who directed that particular play considered it as a tragedy, whereas author considered it to be a comedy. Right? Same text, same words, same dialogues, not a single letter has been changed. Okay? So this is how it is. So there is no actual meaning in. So for example, I am just blabbering. If you look at it in a very serious manner, I am just making some rubbish sounds. But these rubbish sounds, for example, rubbish, the word rubbish, okay? R, B, E, and sh. So these are the sounds, right? So these are, if I just say this way, it it sounds very stupid, but you are able to understand it. When I say rubbish, you understand what rubbish means. And the funny thing about the language is, sometimes even if you have never heard a word, even if you have never come across, the way it has been said, you understand. That is how science is. Hey, you might have, for example, you might have never seen Game of Thrones, for example, right? But you see a sigil which has been thrown, showed in a Game of Thrones. You see whether it is. He can say this belongs to a good house. This belongs to an evil house. We can try to understand. Okay? That is how science are. None of them has any meaning. What I'm speaking do not have any meaning. Right? What is being written do not have any meaning. It is just assumed meaning. Right? From here, how do we understand culture? So um, our intention for next 1 week is to understand about Indian culture. Right? We have today we spoke about none of the signs have any meaning. It's only assumed meaning. From here, just imagine how we can start learning about culture. Just think about it. And next week, we can start, we can learn, and, we can try to understand. Any questions? But I'll tell you, the next essay, it is not easy. It's not easy to understand. It's not possible for most people to read it by themselves and try to make sense of it. Because even if you have first of all, the words are not that familiar. There are many technical words. Even if the words are familiar, uh, sometimes the author's intention might be missed while reading it. Right? So I suggest you to be present for the next 1 week regularly, so that you completely get the concept of the essay. Okay? Because the another you will be given choice either in two essays. Another essays there is nothing much to write. Right? So Rabindranath Tagore's writing, so there is nothing much to write. This is somewhere when there is so much to write. Once you comprehend it, it is very easy. But comprehending is difficult. Right? Once you comprehend it, it is very easy. You can write, in a various manner, very interesting manner, and you can write it with originality, and that will be beneficial for you. Okay. Any questions? Yeah. Or just tell me if you have understood it or not. Otherwise, I'll I think that I have some network issues and I have not been able to communicate. Did you understand what is being said? Yes or no?